You think Jesus can do anything right here in Las Vegas, Sin City? I believe that what God is doing is He's creating an eternal testimony. And what we know is when we can come together under a spirit of unity, nothing will be impossible.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Las Vegas United. I'm your host, Aaron Pino, and I'm so incredibly grateful and glad that you've decided to tune in on this week's episode. You know, here at Las Vegas United, we are partnering with God to create an eternal testimony of His goodness, His mercy, and His power right here in the Las Vegas Valley. And if you've been watching for any amount of time, or maybe this is your first time, what we do here is we bring on people in Las Vegas. We brought on pastors, business people, entrepreneurs. We brought on people who are involved in politics, and we just talk about how God is using them right here in our own backyard to make a difference and a change. And so today I'm excited because I have a new friend on the show. I've enjoyed connecting with you, man, since you've been here, but I'm sure you guys are going to be blessed by him, enjoying his story. Would you help me welcome Mr. Austin Boyd? What's up, man? Great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, man. You get me excited.
Hey, that's what we got to do, man. That's what we got to do, man. So I'm super grateful that you're here. I'm grateful that you're here in the city, man. You know, things that your family's doing, what you're doing. But before we get into it, just tell people a little bit more about yourself, man, and how long you've been in Vegas, family, kids, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. I'm just turned 32, born and raised, been here my whole life. My mom's side's been here since I think, the beginning of Las Vegas. They go way back. And I'm married to I can't even see my high school because it's like my elementary school sweetheart. So I've known my wife since like second, third grade. And we have a boy and a girl, 5 and 6 years old. Great. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's happy. My parents started a church here in 2000. My grandparents started a church here about 30 years ago. My parents took over senior pastor in the mid 2000s. And then along the way, I started a t-shirt business in my parents' garage when I was 16. And so that's kind of, and then you just kind of hang on for the ride.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome, man. And that's what we're going to talk about is the t-shirt business. Because you are a kingdom entrepreneur. And we want to talk about that a little bit. And the church that your family is a part of is TCMI.
That's correct. Yeah.
Amazing ministry here in the Valley, doing great things, serving our community. I've been to your church a handful of times. The Spirit of God, man. I mean, it's incredible. And I love the fact that out of that church, you're like, hey, you know what? I'm going to do business. I'm going to do a kingdom business, and we're going to serve people. And we're going to make an impact. So talk to us a little bit more about what you have going on. Tell us the name of the company and all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. In 2008, when I was a sophomore in high school, I started this t-shirt company called Alive Print Shop. But man, it has been a complete miracle. Like even how you said, the mission of this show is about spreading the testimony of what God is doing. My whole life is just a testimony of God's goodness. I mean, going even back before the t-shirt company, I was thinking about this before the show. Like when you grow up in church, you don't think you have a testimony sometimes. Like I would look at guys that have really cool like gangster tattoos and just crazy stories. And I just thought like, in elementary, middle school, I don't have a testimony. I never did any of that. And I'm just blessed with the best parents in the entire world. I just have the best. They're great. They love God. They taught me, to love the Lord and all that. And so I didn't know if I really had a testimony in the beginning, but then I kind of realized, I think my testimony has been, I trust God, so much. And every step, I think this whole thing, if I look back, it's just been a lesson of God teaching me to trust Him. And because of that, I think I avoided a lot of mess. I think my testimony was, instead of going out and messing this up and come back, my testimony was, I was so grateful for all the hard work that my parents put into it. I just never wanted to like dishonor that. And so that I kind of never had that experience of, going out. I've always just been really like trusting the Lord and everything. And so I remember I made a commitment to myself every day my sophomore year, I was going to go to the library and read my Bible.
That's awesome.
That was the only time I had control of, was the lunchtime. And so I said, okay, it's the only thing I have control of. I'm going to read the Bible every day. And after doing that a few months, these ideas just started popping in my head. That's where the whole thing came from. And I had this idea, I'm going to print t-shirts. I don't know why. I didn't know that, I don't know don't know if that's in the Bible to print t-shirts, but like the more I started opening up, it started jumping out. And then, I decided I was going to start, print t-shirts in my parents' garage. And I was in the Academy of Finance, which is a program at Clark High School. And I just started this little thing going, and then I would join a yearbook club so I could find a list of all the different clubs.
Look at you, bro.
You got better. I got my license and I learned about Starbucks. I learned about Starbucks caramel frappuccino that no one will ever turn it down. So every day I would find a new teacher. I would go on the list. I'd walk in their classroom with just the most beautiful grande caramel frappuccino. And I said, you don't know me, but can I print t-shirts for, track club or chess club or whatever? And so it actually started turning into something, And so it was pretty wild.
Man. I didn't know all that, Mr. Boyd. I didn't know all that. That's incredible. That's the spirit of God, man. That's the spirit of wisdom.
100%. It was God. I mean, in the beginning, I convinced my parents to let me borrow $2,000, which is insane
for a high school.
For high school, 16 years old. Yeah. That first year, I gave everybody their money back because all I did was mess everything up. I mean, I was so in over my head. In the end, I think we did $400 into the day.
Wow.
And I thought, $400 cannot pay off $2,000. Like,
yeah.
I'm not good at math, but I knew that was not working out. And so that summer was go time. I'm going to dig in. I'm going to figure out how to do this. I got the idea to join yearbook club because I knew you just get to go meet everybody and take pictures of their club. Came back, got focused, and all of a sudden it was like, man, we started going. So by the time we got senior year, I think we did $59,200 and some dollars in sales by senior year. And so, but it was like, I felt like God had just put this thing in my heart. And that's why our company's called a live print shop. It's like, there's something about going to the Bible or going to the lunch, the cafeteria, reading my Bible that it started doing something in me.
Wow.
And so, since then it's been a wild roller coaster.
Dude, that is legit, man. I mean, almost $60,000 senior year. You know what I mean? There's people listening to the show that don't make that much money. They're grown adults, man.
Well, it was, it was the right time. Everything was, before starting the company, I thought school felt like jail, and I thought I needed to escape.
It is. It is.
But once I realized, I said, if I have to be here every day, I'm going to go find some customers. You know what I mean?
Hello.
If I'm stuck here, other companies can't walk in the school. I'm stuck here. So I might as well go find all the opportunities. But I remember standing in the line. We had our banker's office in the cafeteria. Everyone lined up to pay their $25 for their yearbook or whatever. Standing there, I'm falling asleep. I didn't sleep the night before. We printed t-shirts all night. I'm about to pass out. And it just dawns on me. I said, every kid here is here to give $25. I'm the only kid in this line about to pick up a $2,000 check.
My God.
I don't think I need any more sleep. I think I'm going to be okay. And then my teachers all banded together and they said, okay, we have one rule. If you're going to do this, you have to get good grades in all of our classes. And if you don't get good grades, no more orders.
Wow.
So junior, senior year was the first time in my life I ever got straight A's. Ever in my entire life. It was just pure motivation. I was like, I got to do this. I got to figure out how to make this happen. And so we started doing that. But throughout the whole process, one thing that just ties into, that being a testimony is I think from a young age understood the impact of giving. I wasn't supposed to go to my high school. The high school I went to was an academy, a program. I didn't make it in. I was supposed to go for math and science. I remember 2 weeks before school, we were all into paintball. That was my life's possession was, a $200 paintball gun and some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember God put it on my heart to go give it to some other kids in the youth group.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, God, but you don't understand. Like, this is it. I'm trying to have a conversation with him and negotiate. And I felt like the Lord said, you trust me. And I remember going and had this whole duffel bag of all my goodies, gave it to this other kid, walked away like, this doesn't even make sense. A week before school starts, all of a sudden I found out I didn't make it in the program I wanted to, but I get to go to the school I want to. And there was a business program I had no idea existed.
Wow.
And so I'm just like, so then every time I was like, oh, giving makes a difference. Like,
absolutely.
Giving unlocks the door. It you can't even describe what happens, but giving is, and so it has been constantly step after that of just stepping out by faith.
Yeah.
And then it kind of got to the point where the more I give, the more I can't even keep up with what God, I try to give more. And it's like, oh my goodness. And so that has been our testimony this whole time of trusting God, trusting that he would do enough, but believing that he would do more than enough. And that was I
don't know if anyone heard that, but I heard that.
Yeah.
Say that again,
was, man. That was that sentence right there sums up my 2020.
Wow.
Because up until that point, I always trusted God for enough. Bills would get paid. This would happen, there's enough. Like enough is okay. Like enough is good. But I didn't step into believing for more. And the problem is that if you only trust God for enough is hard when you need more.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Enough is like being stagnant. Even if you got to a level, if you stay there for too long, it's not good. You got to go to the next level. You got to keep growing.
Austin boy, I'm about to shout you down right here on the show right now, man. You over here, you're an entrepreneur. You preaching, man. You preaching. Yes, I mean, this is absolutely incredible. I think our audience, people in the kingdom, need to be exposed to these ideologies, because the reality is a lot of people are stuck in their thought process. One thing that I preach at my church all the time is, and I even mentioned this to you earlier, you can be more when you see more.
100%. But
the part of that is it's hard to see whenever you're not free. So you have to be able to get into the place where God really can unlock what you like, unlock your vision, unlock what you can see. Because the reality is God wants us to have the exceedingly abundantly beyond all that we can ask or think. He is not a God of just enough, like how you were saying.
100%.
He's the God of more than enough. But a lot of times in church world and even some business people, they get so stuck in like this right here. They get so stuck in, I got to pay my bills. I got to do this. But the reality is God wants us to, one, be prosperous.
Yes, sir.
I'm just going to put this out there for everyone. I don't think God wants you to be poor. If you don't like that, send me an email at Austin at Las Vegas United. Okay. But go ahead.
No, my first 5 years, my prayer was, God, I want to make payroll. My first 5 years was, God, we need to make rent. And I'm telling you, miracles happen to make payroll and to make rent. Sure. But it never went beyond that.
My God.
Because that's all I was asking. I was trusting that God would give us enough, but I had never asked him for more than enough. And it was to this point where I'm like, how can we ever grow? How can we ever reinvest? How can we ever grow our company? How can we ever help our employees unless we're getting more than enough? Because, inflation's going up. They need to get paid more. Yeah. Everything, like you in business, you're either growing or you're dying, and you have to be growing to service your customers, to reinvest into the techniques and the processes. For us, it's printing. So it's new equipment, it's technology. And if we're not in more than enough, then we can never grow, which we can never offer a better product, a better process. Yeah. And so it was going through that whole thing, but giving is absolutely the thing I can take it back to. And then, like you said, getting exposed to bigger ideas. I had a friend, I think I was 18, 19 years old. I had a friend he's been a humongous mentor to me. Not much older than me, actually. And I remember we were going to, eat lunch after church one day, and he said, hey, I want to share something with you, like private. And he said, this is just between me and you. So, and he said, and he told me how much he had given in his tithe. And he said, look, this is not to show off. I just want to let you know what's possible. And there was 5 digits in it.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I'm like, you gave this week? Like, this is possible? Like, no, like, this is not like your savings for the last 10 years. He's like, no, this was my tithing this week. And it didn't impress me in an impressive way. It put a challenge in my heart that I was like, oh, I see how well he's doing. And he's telling me the only reason it's happening is because he keeps giving and trusting God. And anytime he comes up to a point where he don't know what to do, he gives. And he was just telling me, and I'm like, this is crazy. And it took me nearly, 10 years from that moment to be able to give that same amount. That was my goal for 10 years. Wow. From 18 to 28, I'm going to give 5-figure check to my local church. And, and on that way, the more giving, the more trusting God, I'm telling you, God has opened tremendous doors. And I think it's also, it's not even about the giving, but it's about it doing something in me. You know what I mean? To be able to let go, to be able to trust, to be able to, just be obedient to the voice of God. And so I don't know, if you have the debate if tithing is mandatory or not, that's not up to me. What I know is that there's something I've learned in it, and I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep tithing, and I'm going to keep giving, because for me, it is a mandatory part of my life.
Yeah. I need to clip this clip and play it on Sunday morning. But I'm saying, like, the reality is, and, I didn't know we were going to go down this path for the show, but the reality is that God doesn't need our money.
He doesn't need anything.
He doesn't need anything from us. Yeah. And he doesn't even want our money. What he wants is our heart. He wants obedience. And he knows that our heart is connected to our money. So if we can give away what we've worked for, what some people have given their time for, what other people have given their resourcefulness to. If he can get that, he does something in us. Our giving 100%. Is not for him. It's for us, to where we learn how to trust him, where we learn how to hear his voice, where we learn how to say, I'm open for the increase that you're sending on my life. I think that is absolutely incredible.
The first few years, especially when it's crazy, but I remember doing $60,000 in sales as a senior and it not being enough to cover the bills, which is crazy. And the reason is it was all in my hands. All of it was in my hands.
You better say something.
You know
right
what I mean?
Now,
and
Austin.
so,
come on, man.
That's what it was. And the moment that tithing became an absolute mandatory part of my life that I put on myself, no one else put it on me. I put it on myself, and I started learning the lessons that went with it. Man, doors would open up and opportunities, and people would just walk in my shop, and people would call me out of the blue. And I'm like, this makes no sense. Like, this is no sense. And every time I would stretch, I think, to give more, grow bigger opportunities and doors would open in my life and in our business. And it was absolutely crazy. And so, even the last few years, like, I've at the top of my list for the year is my giving goals. It's absolutely top, because I know the more I put in God's hands, the more everything else will work out, Wow. And so that's, I'm at the point now where I've got some big giving goals, and I'm excited about them. You know what I mean? They're the things I want to tell my kids and my grandkids one day, because I want them to have that just ingrained in them that God always has more than enough.
Absolutely, man.
Always.
And you know what, man? Because I know some very affluent and successful business people, and every single one of them are super generous. I have one guy, he partners with our ministry. He tells me all the time, he goes, Aaron, don't call me a millionaire, call me a multi-millionaire. He said, because there's multiple millions in there. And they're generous. Yeah. Like, and the fact that here you are running a multi-million-dollar company, right? And you're not talking about like, oh, this is our strategies, this is how we do that. Like, whenever it comes to like practical things that people would say, like, how do you run your business? You're saying, no, like the way this all opened up for me, one, I had a God idea.
100%.
And then two, I became generous. And this is how this whole thing got opened up.
Well, here's the crazy thing. If you can't give your tithe on $10 or $100, you think you're going to do it when you get the $10,000 check? It's not going to happen. All of a sudden, you're partying with $1,000. That I remember. I'll tell you the crazy story that's happened in the last year. This is my highlight story that I love. I absolutely love that God let me be a part of it. I was selling a building. And I was selling it. And just so happened this church came in. They were ordering T-shirts. They had some sort of conference coming in. The pastors came in. They have no idea who I am. They don't know my background or anything. And they pick up their order and they're excited. And they say, hey, can we pray with you? I said, sure. They don't even know I'm a believer. And they start praying. And the lady, she gets a word and she goes, God said he's doing something. There's a deal you're working on. And she said, there's a certain amount and then there's a higher amount. And she said, God said tithe off the top. Whoa. And I said, I'm straight faced. I kind of, my mind is gone. I said, okay.
And she doesn't even know you're believing.
She has no idea. Just so happens I'm selling a building. I end up selling it for $100,000 more than I had to, but I had some taxes to pay on it. So I'm looking at, do I pay after the taxes or before the taxes? Pretty considerable difference in a number. So I end up selling this building. We did really well on it. Cut our 10% tithe to our church, which was incredible. I was just so excited to be able to, be able to be a part and support. But then there was the tax amount. So I took 10% of that and I called up the lady and I said, hey, you don't really know me. I was your T-shirt guy. Quick question. Can I get the name of your church? You guys are a nonprofit. Can I just get the name of it? I need to send you guys something. And she goes, what do you mean you need to send us something? I said, well, I have a check. I need to know who to make it out to. The phone explodes. She's screaming, she's yelling. And I'm like, I have to put it back. I'm like, what is going on? This lady's losing it. What's going on? And then finally it takes her a minute to get her together. And she goes, we're a home church. She said, we've been working on getting our first building. She said, the final payment is due today and we're short.
Woo. Jesus.
But then my heart dropped. I said, well, how much are you short? you don't know how much this check is going to be. If you're telling me you're short $20,000, this ain't going to do it.
Right.
It was like a $4,000 check, And so I got kind of scared. I said, maybe this isn't the miracle you think it's going to be. And she goes, we're short $2,500. And I said, well, come by. We have a $4,000 check. And the phone explodes again. I have to put it
away.
And I remember just the feeling of, can you believe $4,000 made that much difference? Like, I mean, tears went in my eyes. Like I couldn't even handle it for a few minutes. And I said, God, you let me be a part of that. I have heard stories growing up in church my whole life that, church was in need and all of a sudden someone would come through and God would make a way. But I never thought what it would be like to be that person. Every church is always praying someone comes in to fund everything.
Right.
But why don't you pray that God makes you that person?
Hello.
Like that's been.
Where's my handkerchief? I'm about to throw something at you, Austin. I'm about to throw something at this man.
So I
right
mean,
here.
That's been my goal. Because I mean, for years and years, I prayed, God bless me. And then it changed to God make me a blessing. Because I know the more I can support and be a part of what God is doing in my church and other places, I'm telling you, like, $4,000 in the scheme of things is not that much.
Right.
But to be a part of a miracle and it only costs, and you know what? If I was never used to building that muscle up of giving, I would have backed out for $4,000. If I had never, you know what I mean? If I wasn't used to giving, $4,000 is a lot of money when you need it, And so just going through situations like that, and then all of a sudden doors just keep opening. Being obedient to God, and all of a sudden business doors open that I can't even explain why they open. It doesn't. How did you get my phone number? You have this project. Sounds like a great project. You need it to be in what budget? Sounds like a great budget. You know what I mean? Just going, I'm like, how'd you get my phone number again? Like, yes, I'm in. Let's do this. And I mean, and it all comes back to just being obedient. My whole testimony is I trust God. Like that's the whole testimony. I'm not that smart. You know what I mean? I've been working hard. I've messed up things so many times.
Let me just say this. You are smarter than what you realize. Going around and giving people a caramel frappuccino, macchiato, whatever.
That was a good idea.
That was a great, that was smart,
No
bro.
teacher is going to turn down a caramel frappuccino. That's what I learned.
I know. And then you're like, hey, by the way,
yeah.
Man, that's incredible. I love what you just said. You're like, I stopped praying, Lord, bless me, to Lord, make me the blessing. My God, I'm telling you, Austin, I'm about to throw something at you across this table right now because that's what it takes, man. Like, people need to know, like, yo, listen, God is not a cheap God.
No, he's not.
God is an extravagant God. And nothing is hard for him. Actually, everything is easy for him, even when it comes down to you making the money you need to make in order for you to be a blessing for other people, man.
Really, when it gets down, it's simple. It's very, very simple. It's just, I think like the scripture, like make my cup overflow. God doesn't pour in cups that don't overflow. You know what I mean? And if you're not a person that flows, God doesn't pour blessings in stagnant ponds, like, because they're not going to, you know what I mean? He's looking for rivers, and it's like, part of being river is you got to be okay with stuff coming and you got to be okay with stuff going.
Yeah.
You have to be okay with that.
I tell our church all the time, God can get it to us when he realizes he can get it through us.
100%.
Because at the end of the day, it's all about stewardship.
Yeah.
He puts in our hands what we can release into others. You know what I mean? He releases what's in his hands into our lives. That way we can be a channel for what he wants to do. My God. Austin, boy, I'm telling you that, bro.
No, this has just been, it's been my whole life, and going through things like, I mean, my parents also pastoring, they have some successful businesses, and there was just a really easy way to go be a part of that company. And for some reason I had this idea to go the other way. And there was years of just like, did I make a horrible mistake? Like, why am I doing this? But through this, I mean, God, he's just shown up in so many ways. And most of the times, it was going through some rough times that brought me closer to him. Oh, yeah. Because I had to trust him, because I had to depend on him. I had to stop doing it my way. But then once I realized I can trust him all the time, in the good time, the bad time, honestly, there stopped being so many hard times, because most of the hard times were my fault. You know what I mean? Like, they honestly were. They were me having to grow. I mean, me having to level up and learn different things. And then just, luckily I have an incredible team of people that I've assembled and getting them on board. And I'm really mindful that I'm not good at a lot of things. There's a lot of things I'm not very good at. And so as I go through, as we build our team, you're good at that. I hate doing that. How about you do that? Oh, you hate doing this? I love doing this. I'll do this. You do that. And just finding people that we work together, really, really well. I have an incredible team of people. It would have never got outside of my parents' garage if it was just me. It took the second person to come along and help me get to the next level. And then it took 9 people for us to go to our second building. And it took us, 30 people to go to the next building and to keep leveling up. And it's just having great people. And just, so every moment we left my parents' garage was a miracle. So I'm like, I'm grateful for everybody that's a part of the team. I'm grateful. I'm excited. And I think having that attitude of being willing to give, being grateful, being absolutely fortunate, even the bad days, you go, God, I'm grateful for this bad day.
Yeah.
Because I having a $30,000 problem, I'm grateful because I never had that back then. You know what I mean? I never had the problem like that before. And it was just an exciting thing to be about what God's doing. And I'm just being so mindful that it's completely him.
Yeah.
Like at any moment, if I stop making it about him, I'm going to sink. Mm-hmm. Like it doesn't work without keeping God as the center and focus and trusting. But when you do, I mean, God opens up for anybody. He'll do it for anybody.
Oh yeah.
I'm not special. You know what I mean? And he'll do it for anybody that trusts him.
Man, I wish we had like 3.5 hours. I could be here all day with you, bro. You know what I mean? Because we didn't even get into the realm of like taking risk.
Yeah.
What is actually faith in business? You know what I mean? All this other stuff where we're coming to an end with our time here. Yeah. But man, we got to have you back on the show, man, because I think our audience, we have church people here, we have ministry people here, we have entrepreneur people here. Mm-hmm. I think everyone across the board needs to hear, I'm going to call it the revelation of walking in the blessing. A lot of times, which I'm like starting up a new thing whenever we're running out of time here, but a lot of times as believers, we live in the wilderness where we're asking God, supply our food, manna every day, quail from the sky.
Just enough. When the reality is God is wanting us to cross over the Jordan into the promised land. The thing that we don't realize with the promised land is God doesn't provide manna anymore in the promised land. We actually have to work the land. You know what I mean? And there's the paradigm shift that all of us need to have in order to really. Well, and believing is the key that gets you out of the desert. Mm-hmm. You got to believe him. You got to believe that he's going to do it, and then when you get there, you got to be willing to fight. Because, there's a lot of people that say, if God gave me $1 million, I'd sit on a beach and never work again. That's probably why God doesn't give you $1 million. It's because you want to go on vacation with it. Yeah. He wants to take someone that is going to take it and then take it and run with it and fight and build and grow. And in fact, he doesn't want to bless your family. He wants to bless every family. Yeah. I mean, that's Abraham right there. That's a blessing he poured out. And so God wants to do it for everybody. Absolutely.
Austin, I'm about to take off my shoe and throw it at you right now. I'm telling you right now. But hey, listen, man, our time's coming to a close. If people want to learn more about what you have going on, order some stuff from you, man, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, best way to connect with us is our website, aliveprintshop.com. If you're on Instagram, you can follow us, see all the cool things that we're doing every day. We post a lot of printing, but aliveprintshop.com, our website's the best place to get in contact with us.
Awesome, man. You guys do phenomenal work. We use you for all of our printing needs, man, whenever it comes to clothing and stuff, because it's top. It's top tier, man. You guys do a great job. But anyway, I want to thank you all for jumping on. Thanks for being on the show today, man.
Anytime.
I appreciate it. I want to thank you all for taking time out of your schedule to join us right here on Las Vegas United. Listen, wherever you're watching this from, maybe Keen 17, set your dial. Is that even a thing anymore? I'm not sure. But do what you got to do to jump on here on Keen 17. If you're watching this on YouTube, would you do us a favor? Would you subscribe to the CTN YouTube channel? And would you like this video? Maybe share it with a business person or ministry leader that needs to hear this. If you're watching this if you're listening to this on iTunes or Spotify, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We have new episodes all the time. Listen, I want to thank you for watching, and we will see you next time right here on Las Vegas United. God bless you.
Our show is hosted by Pastor Aaron Pino of Overflow Church. To learn more about him and his ministry, please visit overflowchurch.co. The guest this week is Austin Boyd. For more information, visit aliveprintshop.com. Las Vegas United is produced by CTN Vegas, the Las Vegas location for the Christian Television Network. For more information about CTN Vegas and our show, please visit ctnvegas.com.